Imagine a forest so alive that every tree, animal, and even the tiniest drop of water works together to survive. But what happens when that delicate balance is shattered? When the streams dry up, the trees wither, and the animals begin to struggle, can the forest and humanity come together to save it? In this heart-warming and eye-opening tale, you'll discover the magic of interdependence. How every action, big or small, shapes the world we share. From clever animals to a wise owl's plea to humanity, this story will show you the power of unity, responsibility, and hope. Stay tuned to learn how nature and humans can thrive together. In a distant corner of the world was a lush green forest known as the Enchanted Forest. It wasn't like any other forest you've seen. It was a place where every tree, plant, rock, and animal had a role. Everything worked together perfectly, from the tallest oak tree to the tiniest ant. The forest was alive, not just with creatures, but with the balance of nature itself. The sun shone brightly over the treetops, casting golden rays that danced through the leaves. The sunlight made the forest glow, creating patterns on the ground where mushrooms peeked from the moist soil. The trees, tall and proud, had thick trunks covered in rough bark. Their branches stretched wide, creating a cool, shaded canopy high above. Beneath that canopy, the forest floor was lush with ferns, grasses, and flowers of every color: violet, yellow, red, and white. A soft carpet of fallen leaves blanketed the earth, keeping the soil rich and moist. This forest was an ecosystem, a place where life flourished because of the delicate balance between all its parts. It was a world where plants, animals, insects, and even the air, water, and soil depended on each other. The Enchanted Forest was not just a collection of trees and animals. It was a living, breathing community. The most important feature of this ecosystem was water. It was everywhere. You could hear the gentle sound of a stream running through the forest. The water babbled over smooth rocks, creating little waterfalls that splashed and sparkled in the sunlight. It fed the roots of the trees and kept the flowers blooming. Water was the lifeblood of the forest, and it connected everything. The trees needed water to grow tall and strong. Their roots dug deep into the soil, reaching for the cool underground streams that flowed below. Without water, the trees wouldn't be able to stand proudly, and their branches wouldn't be able to hold the leaves that absorbed the sunlight. Without sunlight, the trees wouldn't be able to make food. Without food, the trees wouldn't be able to survive. It was a perfect circle. Water fed the trees, and the trees, in turn, helped keep the ecosystem alive. Plants also relied on water to grow. Flowers bloomed where the soil was rich, fed by the water that trickled down from the hills above. These flowers were food for bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. The bees, with their soft, buzzing wings, carried pollen from one flower to the next, helping the plants reproduce. The bees were a vital part of the ecosystem. Without them, the flowers wouldn't grow, and the animals that depended on them for food would have a much harder time surviving. In the forest, water didn't just come from rain or streams, it came from the air itself. At night, when the air cooled, tiny drops of water would form on the leaves and branches, creating a soft dew. This dew helped the plants stay hydrated until the morning light came and the sun dried the ground. The Enchanted Forest wasn't just full of plants, it was home to many animals too. Deer, rabbits, foxes, squirrels, and even a family of owls lived among the trees. Every animal had a special role in the ecosystem, and their survival was closely linked to the plants, water, and other creatures around.
The deer were gentle grazers. They ate the soft grasses in the meadows and the leaves from young shrubs. But they didn't eat much. They knew that if they ate too many leaves, the plants wouldn't be able to grow back, and the forest wouldn't have enough food to support them. The deer helped keep the plants trimmed and healthy, ensuring there was always enough food for other animals.
Rabbits, with their twitching noses and soft fur, hopped around the forest floor. They nibbled on the grass and flowers, but again, they didn't eat everything. They made sure to leave enough flowers behind so that the bees could keep doing their work. In this way, the rabbits helped the ecosystem maintain its balance. Without rabbits, the grasses would grow too tall and thick, making it hard for other animals to move through the forest. Squirrels were busy creatures, always darting up and down the trees. They helped the forest by gathering nuts and seeds. Some of the seeds they buried would grow into new trees. Without the squirrels, the forest wouldn't be able to expand, and the animals that depended on the trees for shelter would have nowhere to go. The squirrels didn't even realize it, but they were acting as little gardeners, planting new trees with every nut they hid. Then there were the foxes, clever and quiet. They hunted small animals like rabbits and birds, but they never overhunted. They knew that if they ate too many animals, there wouldn't be enough left for the next season. The foxes helped keep the population of other animals in check, which helped prevent any one species from taking over the forest. And above it all, perched in the branches of the tallest trees, were the owls. Their large, round eyes watched over the forest, keeping track of everything happening below. The owls helped control the population of mice and other small rodents. Without the owls, there would be too many rodents, and they would eat the plants and crops that the forest needed to stay healthy. The animals of the Enchanted Forest didn't just survive. They thrived because of their interdependence. Each animal's actions helped maintain the delicate balance of the ecosystem. But one year, something started to change in the forest. The weather became unpredictable. There were fewer rains, and the once crystal-clear streams began to shrink. The trees that had always stood tall and strong began to droop, their leaves turning yellow and brown. The flowers stopped blooming, and the bees couldn't find enough pollen to collect. The whole forest began to feel different, as though the magic that had once held it together was slowly fading. The animals noticed the changes too. The deer wandered farther and farther to find food. The rabbits struggled to find the flowers and grasses they liked to eat. The squirrels were unable to find enough seeds to bury. The foxes, too, had trouble finding enough food, and their families grew hungry. The owls, with their keen eyes, could see that the forest was in trouble. It wasn't just the lack of rain that was causing the problem. The humans, who lived in a nearby village, had been cutting down trees and using too much water. They hadn't realized that their actions were affecting the delicate balance of the forest. Without the trees, the soil started to dry up, and the streams began to shrink. Without enough water, the plants started to wither. And without plants, the animals began to struggle. The forest was in danger, and something needed to be done. But what? The wise old owl, who had seen many seasons pass, called a meeting of all the animals in the forest. "We must work together to save the forest," the owl said, "but we cannot do it alone. We need help from the humans." The animals were puzzled. How could they ask the humans for help? The owl explained that the humans didn't mean to harm the forest. They just didn't understand how important it was. "We need to show them how everything is connected. We need to teach them about the delicate balance of the forest," the owl said. And so, the animals came up with a plan. The squirrels would gather the seeds of the trees that had started to disappear, and they would plant them in the areas where the forest had thinned. The deer would help trim the underbrush so the new plants could grow. The rabbits nibbled on the young plants, but ensured leaving enough for the bees. The foxes would help protect the new plantings by keeping the smaller animals in check. Meanwhile, the owls would visit the humans and explain what was happening. They flew to the village, their wings silent in the night. The owl perched on the windowsill of the village chief's house and hooted softly. The chief, surprised to hear an owl at his window, invited it inside. The owl explained the situation, telling the chief how the forest was suffering and how the animals worked together to restore balance. The chief, moved by the owl's words, promised to help. The next day, the villagers planted new trees, saved water, and protected the forest from harm. They also built small dams to help the water stay in the streams. Over time, the forest began to recover. The trees grew tall again, their leaves turning bright green. The flowers bloomed, and the bees returned. The streams filled with fresh water, and the animals once again had plenty to eat. The balance was restored, and the ecosystem was healthy once more. The Enchanted Forest has shown that when all creatures, whether animals, plants, or humans, work together, they can create a world where everyone thrives. In the end, the animals, the trees, and the humans all learn that they are connected and that the survival of one depends on the survival of all.